Hello and welcome to Valemount Votes, VCTV's series of interviews with the candidates for mayor and council for the upcoming municipal elections. I'm going to go through some of the points here that we're going to go through, the format of the episode today, so you have an idea of what's coming, and then we'll get right into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to open with a reading of the candidate's biography, and that's been submitted by the candidate. And then we'll ask the candidate to make an opening statement, which can be up to 3 minutes. Then we'll move into questions. So we had a lot of questions submitted by you, the viewers, for the candidates, and we selected 7 of those for the candidates. They've been sent those questions ahead of time, so they have had time to prepare what they're going to say on them. They have a specific amount of time to answer each question. After that, we're going to go into 3 candidate-specific questions. So these are questions that we're going to ask the candidates. They have not seen these questions, and the idea there is to gauge their responses to questions that they don't have prepared answers for, so you can see how they respond to those. And again, those will be timed. And then finally, we'll have the candidate make a closing statement of up to 3 minutes as well. A few points. We're doing this in what's called a live-to-tape scenario, which means we're not broadcasting live, but we are going to go through the interview without stopping, and there will be no editing, so we'll be able to be just like live. I will be monitoring the time. I have a stopwatch here on the set, and we'll be monitoring the time and making sure that the candidates adhere to that. Any unused time may not be added to other questions or statements, so there's just a finite amount of time that the candidates have for it. Each candidate's interview is going to air once on VCTV. Each candidate's interview will air on VCTV a number of times, an equal number of times for all, so that's fair. The candidates' interviews will air in alphabetical order as well. And then once each candidate's interview is run one time on VCTV, we're going to upload them all to our YouTube channel so you can have an opportunity to watch them whenever you like and see them as many times as you have. So we'll get right into it. I'm going to start with welcoming our guest today, Sandy Salt, and I'm going to read her bio, and then we'll get a chance to read her opening statement. Sandy Salt was first elected as Municipal Councillor of the Village of Valemount during the November 2011 British Columbia local elections. In her councillor role, Sandy has been appointed to the following: Alternate Director on the 3 following Boards of Directors: Regional District of Fraser-Fort George, Northern Development Initiatives Trust, Almanica Beetle Action Coalition, that's a tough one, Valemount Community Forest Board of Directors, Columbia Basin Trust Community Initiatives Program and Affected Areas Program Adjudication Committee, another mouthful, Drinking Water Week Committee, Kinder Morgan Trans Mountain Expansion Project Committee, Prince George Treaty Advisory Committee, Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association, and elected to their Board of Directors in May of this year. Valemount and Area Chamber of Commerce Council Liaison and Member, Valemount Public Library Building Expansion Committee, Village of Valemount Bylaw and Policy Review Committee, Village of Valemount Emergency Planning Committee. Besides her council commitments, she also works for the Valemount Children's Activity Society and recently became the new Centre Manager for the Valemount Daycare and Preschool Centre. Sandy also assists her husband with his personal business as his business administrator, bookkeeper, editor, and photographer. When she has spare time, Sandy is also a Party Light independent consultant. And if after all of that, Sandy still has any time left in her busy days, she enjoys spending quality time with her husband and 2 dogs. Welcome, Sandy Salt.
Thank you.
What a long list.
Not as long as some, I'm sure, but that actually was my condensed version. So
Great, great. All right, well, we're going to move right into the prepared questions. You have had a chance to review these and review your answers for them. The first question we're going to look at deals with economic development. And we had a lot of questions on this topic from the viewers, and so we kind of condensed it in, but we're going to give you a long time to answer. We're going to give you up to 9 minutes to answer this particular question. And the question is, what is your strategy for strengthening Valemount's economy? I'm sorry. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I forgot to give you your chance to do your opening remark. I jumped right into the questions. I was so excited.
You're just so excited to get into them with me. Oh.
All right, let's rewind the tape here. See, there's no editing involved. And we'll start again. I'm going to give you 3 minutes now to give your opening comments. And you're going to look right into this camera and do that. And whenever you're ready, just go right ahead for that.
Opening remark is I'm running for council once again because I had strong support and encouragement to run again. I still have very much unfinished work to do for my constituents from this last term. I'm also not ready to step down when I've been doing a lot of relationship building with other partners, stakeholders, and levels of government. However, not quite ready to step up to the position of mayor, maybe next election in 2018. I'm also running again for the pure love of our community of Valemount and surrounding area.
Great, thank you very much. And now we'll try again for the question. So again, the first question that the viewers have submitted is on the topic of economic development. And the question here is, what is your strategy for strengthening Valemount's economy? How would you attract more businesses and development to Valemount? And you have 9 minutes for that one.
Okay. I would continue doing what current council has been doing. We've been building and strengthening relationships with other key partners, stakeholders, levels of government, and connecting all of the potential new businesses and developers with those right stakeholders to be involved in the success of their projects. We've also been heading in the right direction, attracting more businesses and development by continuing working together with other funding partners, beautifying and making our community more accessible and desirable. Current council and staff have also been working very diligently on reviewing and updating all of our necessary bylaws required for any economic development. We are heading in the right direction. However, it just takes a long time, as people see. It's a lengthy process. Finally, I'm working very hard at a couple things I know is very important to any business and developments interested in coming to Valemount, and that is different forms and capacities of services available to them, such as continuing to work with the province and BC Hydro for reliable power through the use of geothermal power production, and then the social issues of ensuring there's enough licensed childcare space for any of the new families wishing to relocate here, and everything else that falls between that broad spectrum. There have also been number of other initiatives that we have gotten involved with in order to help strengthen our economy and raise awareness, and that's such as the Love Valemount project, the Robson Valley Regional Marketing Strategy. That was a full one. We're started a new project with Venture Kamloops, and that's a labor market study analysis for the area, and many more that that we've been working on.
Okay.
And I believe that's my answers for that.
Okay, great. All right, we'll move into the second question then, and the second question deals with village infrastructure, and it's a specific question, so we'll give you 3 minutes to answer this one. And the question is, what is your opinion on infrastructure maintenance in the village, in particular the repair and maintenance or replacement of known concerns prior to, rather than waiting until things break or become a problem and result in more expensive emergency repairs and damage? Do you plan, if re-elected, to make it an important part of the budget?
Absolutely. My opinion is that it is very important and critical. However, our community, along with many other communities all over North America, are dealing with a useful life crisis of infrastructure, with much of our infrastructure beginning to fail at the same time due to age, having trouble affording to repair or replace because of tightened regulations downloaded onto municipalities from the other levels of government, provincial and federal, and with less grant dollars available to assist with the extremely expensive costs of maintaining, repairing, and replacing such infrastructure. The village has applied on multiple occasions for the known concern that has recently hit our community at one of our lift stations. We've applied, as far I know, as back as the last council term for Towns for Tomorrow funding. Our council has applied, and for reasons not completely known to us, other than we know that the program had been so heavily oversubscribed because everyone else is in the same boat, we have been denied for at least the last 2, maybe 3 attempts. It's an important part. It is an important part of our budget already. It's just that our budget does not have the ability to do all of these aging repairs and replacements without the assisting of other funding or borrowing from municipal finance authority. New legislation has been put in place with the tangible capital assets, and where municipalities are now being forced to actually treat their infrastructure in a capital way, where it's not called depreciation for municipalities, it's another word, but it's to ensure that we start to build better reserves for replacing those aging infrastructure. That wasn't a part of legislation before, and that's why so many municipalities have run into the problem we're in now. So it's not that we don't care, it's just we've lost a lot of the resources we had available before to help us pay for these infrastructure issues.
Okay, great, thank you. Next question deals with the thorny for Valemount issue of parking. Thorny for most communities, I would imagine, as well. And this is a kind of a split question between winter and summer, so we're going to give you a little bit longer, 5 minutes to answer, and we'll start with the winter question. And the winter question is, when a village plows the snow, it makes a ridge and trucks and trailers have to park on the street, and that makes a tunnel going down Fifth Avenue. And last year someone almost hit 4 sledders because they came out from between the trucks and the trailers and they had difficulty seeing them. How is the village council going to fix the parking problem on Fifth Avenue during the winter months?
Well, first of all, unfortunately, the trucks and trailers didn't have to really park on the street. They chose to. They could have tried to go elsewhere. I know there's been a crunch, but what we're doing, last year we did a trial turning our vacant lot between the clinic and Monashee Motors into truck and trailer parking. The only problem is the rate of use was low, and we found it was because staff, hotel staff, had not been trained to direct their clients to that lot. So they weren't fully aware of it. So we're trying a new trial this year. We actually have installed permanent no parking signs along that section of Fifth Avenue and along where the hotels are, so that they, one, don't park on our Bigfoot Trail walking system, two, so that we don't get that congested parking issue, because I know I experienced the tunnel myself and sledders jumping out too. So it definitely was a hazard and a recognized one. So with some more work and training, we are reestablishing that parking lot. We are going to work closely with the hotel managers and assisting, giving them the information they need to train their staff to direct their clients to that parking so that they don't park illegally along Fifth Avenue.
Okay, great. And let's move to the other half of that question, which is summer. The question is, it's a well-known fact that we have a major parking crisis in the downtown core when it comes to accommodating tourists and travelers with oversized vehicles, such as RVs and trucks pulling trailers, etc. What measures would you implement to alleviate this problem?
As much as we welcome and need the visiting tourists and travelers stimulating our economy, this has continually been a recognized problem since the Downtown Revitalization Project went in, which in my opinion has beautified our main downtown core. We just have been left with a poorly planned out parking strategy to attempt to fix with little to no money. As much as people resist walking a short ways from their vehicles to the stores, one option is to prohibit parking all oversized vehicles, RVs and trucks and trailers in our main downtown core, commercial core, and make them park in a designated parking lot, say before or after the main core of downtown, the main walking core. Right. And to me, that would be a great opportunity for some clever business entrepreneurs to maybe band together some financial resources and purchase a vacant piece of property near downtown core and turn it into parking. Okay, great, thank you. You're done there? Yeah.
Okay. Let's move into our next question, which deals with water meters, another hot topic here in Valemount. There are 2 parts to this question, so we're going to give you, again, 5 minutes to answer. The first section of this deals with water meters in general, and the question is, do you feel water meters are necessary for Valemount? Why or why not?
Absolutely. It should be a user-pay service. We had water meters my whole life until I moved to Valemount, and I was completely shocked that Valemount didn't have them. Water is a very precious and needed resource, and people will become much more conscious about wasting it when they have to pay for what they actually run through their taps. Less water wasted will also equate to lower operating and treating costs at both the water treatment plant and the sewer treatment plant, allowing money in the budget to go towards actual infrastructure repairs and replacements.
Okay, and the second half of this deals with smart water meters. Now, I don't know if this is something that is coming to Valemount, but the question was raised, and it is about smart water meters. So the question is, how do you feel about smart water meters? Are you aware of the mounting concerns regarding health, security, and privacy for those? And do you know what the alternatives to smart meters are?
I personally have no problem with them. And yes, I definitely am aware of the mounting concerns regarding health, security, and privacy. However, until I see all the statistical data to actually substantiate and support those concerns, I've also seen and heard a lot of evidence opposing or against those concerns, scientific evidence and proof stating that they're oversubstantiated. To me, I don't think it should be an issue. I know everyone has their concerns, and I don't disrespect those. Everyone is entitled to have their concerns and their voices heard. So whether that would be the route if Valemount ever does get to the point of doing water meters, whether it would be smart meters or whether it would be more traditional wired in meters where you actually have a meter reader walking around and taking readings by knocking on your door, that remains to be seen. So as far as alternatives, I know there are many different alternatives. Avoiding around the actual radio frequency smart meters. So, and who knows, like I said, until we investigate, we're in the process of doing a study right now, an actual feasibility study for meters and different types of meters. And again, we won't know if we're doing this and if we can afford to do it until that study is completed.
Okay, great, thank you. Our next question, again, is kind of a multi-task, multi-part question here, and it deals with youth center / community center / activities for children and youth. So again, we're going to give you 5 minutes to respond to this, and it's in kind of two parts. We'll talk about youth center and community center and in a spray park later. So the premise is that there are not many things for children and youth to do here in Valemount. With regards to a youth center and a community center, where do you stand on creating a community center or a youth center for Valemount?
Well, we already have a community center, and that's our community hall. So I can't comment any further on that. Although I do see the benefit for a youth center, it is not a service the village is legislated to provide. If this is something the community feels very strongly they would like to have, then I think it would have to be a number of nonprofit societies and associations if they banded together and partnered, working together to bring it to fruition. That would be better. I know a number of the local organizations are working separately on similar goals, so why not work collaboratively together, and you might have better odds of having that happen. And let's face it too, why not get together with the library? You know, the library wants to do an expansion. What a great hub to make there with the library, a youth center, meeting rooms. It could be a fabulous, fabulous facility. So I just really think that some of these groups really need to get together. People think it's always the village should be doing it, the village should be doing it. But some of these things we aren't legislated and mandated to do. We are legislated and mandated to provide water, sewer, roads, you know, those kinds of things. And, you know, children and youth in Valemount, I hear that they say they have nothing to do, and I know that because I grew up in a city and there were things. However, what the kids here don't realize is us city kids would have loved to have the recreational opportunities they have right in their backyards. So I just think we need to open our eyes a little more, look out of the box a little bit better, and see how we can't come up with variable solutions and make it so that it satisfies and helps everyone.
Okay. We have 3 minutes left to talk about spray park. Now, the question here is specific. Where do you stand on creating a spray park, a wading pool, or some other water-based recreational facility for children, specifically for children in Valemount?
This one's tough. It really is. I'm going to start sounding like a broken record. However, I absolutely love the concept. Love it. I'd be out there playing with the kids too. However, again, in reality, it's not an essential service for the village to provide. And any type of recreational water facility is the biggest cost and liability infrastructure to own and maintain. The only way for it to happen again would be for some other associations to take on the task, or a developer to take it on, or a huge increase in property taxes if the village were actually to do it. So it's really unfortunate, but it is one of those infrastructure requests that people want, but it's not cost effective. And my sister lives in a community bigger than ours who is going through huge financial hardships because the pool they had has become such a huge liability. The municipality is in financial suffering because of it.
Okay. Let's move on to the sixth question submitted by the viewers, and this one deals with communication, and it's a little more focused, so we'll give you 3 minutes to answer this one. And the question is, communication is key to learning what is of importance to the constituents, not only during the campaign, but also after the dust is settled. If re-elected, how will you communicate with the constituents to learn of their concerns, and how will you relay this information back to council for action?
I'll keep doing what I've been doing. I am approachable in the stores, you know, on the street, when I'm trying to do my own errands. People always apologize. I say, no, you know what? I'm here to listen. What's up? What do you want to say? What do you have to say? I'm accessible by phone at home. I have my email. I get emails. And I've just always been willing to talk to people, and I want them to know that I am there to listen, because without listening to hearing what the concerns are, how do we know if we're addressing what people are wanting? And then I often, like with concerns, I jot down a note for myself so I don't forget, and then I'll go into the village office and I'll just sort of, you know, first of all check with our CAO. Has anything come up with this, or is this something that you have heard about? Is it going to be coming up on an agenda? Should we be bringing this forward? Is this something that you're already handling? Because sometimes it's something that they already know about and they're handling.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. All right, our last question submitted by the viewers deals with diversity. And again, it's a focus question, so we'll give you 3 minutes for this one. And the question is, how do you feel about working hard to increase diversity in our village? For example, attracting persons of differing sexual orientation, race, religion, persons with disabilities, refugees, etc.
I am all in support of that. You know, it shouldn't matter what your sexual orientation is, shouldn't matter what color your skin is, what your religion is. We're all human in the end. We all bleed, we all hurt, and we all need to be able to live happily together. And we are so lucky to have the community we have that I think sometimes we take it for granted. And I think we need to be willing to be open to having new people come into our community and welcoming them. Because, you know what, that goes a long distance, and those people will say, what a wonderful community. They just came and they opened their arms and invited us right in. How friendly and wonderful. So, and I've had feedback like that from people, so.
Great,
yeah.
Great. All right, well, that brings us to the end of the viewer-submitted questions. So now we're going to move into some questions we have specifically for you. We'll try not to make them too difficult.
Oh, dear.
All right, the first question, and we're going to give you 3 minutes for each of these. They're quite focused questions in terms of this. So the first question is, obviously, as a councillor, an existing councillor, it's running for re-election, what have you learned from your first term on council?
The biggest thing I have learned in that first term was to, one, get my voice, because before as a staff member, I was meant to keep quiet. And so it took me a little while to get that voice. Then the next biggest hurdle for me to learn, and I think this has been the biggest one, and I keep reminding myself almost daily, is no matter how hard you try, you will never, ever make everyone happy. No decision I ever make will make everyone happy. And once I learned to accept that, I actually sleep better at night. So that was one of the biggest things I've learned is that you're just never going to be able to make everyone happy, but if you vote consciously the way you feel is the best for the community as a whole, you're going to be better off.
Definitely a steep learning curve, I'm sure.
Yes, yeah.
All right, second question is, what would you point to as your biggest accomplishment in this past term on council? And conversely, what would you say was your greatest disappointment?
Oh, gosh. I've had 2 accomplishments that I'm quite proud of. Can I talk about both?
You can talk about whatever you like.
I think one of my first accomplishments was the meeting with the Minister of Transportation at UBCM, in 2013. With that, and in combination with Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association, we are starting to see some of the improvements along our Highway 5 corridor that we've been pushing for. such as more safe passing lanes. We're actually going to be getting a traffic light here at our main intersection, and there's more push for even more passing lanes, and eventually we aren't going to quit. We're pushing to get twinned all the way to Kamloops. So that's something I've worked on, and I've been really pleased to see some of it come to fruition in this term. And then my other accomplishment was us having Valemount bid on hosting the Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association AGM here, bringing delegates from the 4 western provinces to Valemount, and having our AGM here, a good AGM, a lot of very positive feedback, and really good hopes to see some of those people come back. There was a lot of people saying, wow, didn't realize, and yeah, I want to come back, I'm going to bring the family. So we're not going to see the actual numbers to substantiate that probably for a year or so, but being that I am currently on the board of directors, I'll be constantly pushing those people, come visit, remember you said you'd come, and just that way I can also kind of keep a connection as to what kind of numbers we might be seeing increasing.
Great. So you have a minute left to talk about maybe what was your greatest disappointment this term?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm having trouble pinpointing.
Well, it's a good sign that you can't think of one.
Yeah, no, I can't really think of any one specific one. I think maybe my biggest disappointment is one time not speaking, not feeling strong enough to speak my mind when I really should have. But at least then when I did finally get that strength, I got a lot of praise from my constituents saying, thank you, that's why we voted for you, to use that voice we gave you.
Great. All right, well, that's our time for that one. We've got one last question for you. And this one's a bit of a thinker. We'll give you 3 minutes for it because we don't want you to think too long. During the last election campaign, you stated that it was time to start thinking outside the box and to step away from societal norms, and that it's time to explore innovative alternatives. So the question is, do you think that the current council embraced that philosophy on your term? And if re-elected, what would you plan to do to think outside the box and explore innovative alternatives for Valemount?
I think our last council, we really did work like that. We didn't always think out of the same side of the box, but we all learned how to come together and build that box and fill it with our ideas. I think we've definitely continued pushing on the geothermal idea. That certainly didn't first start with our term. It was baby steps already in the previous term, but we certainly have been advocating with the province on that. So that's going to be a huge alternative source for this community, even though it may not be a huge job creator in itself. The spin-off use from that has huge potential for a number of different industries, creating local jobs, and helping Valemount be a little more self-sufficient as far as stable power.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, thank you. That's the end of our questions, and thank you very much for the thoughtful responses to those questions from the viewer and from us as well. And now's the time we're going to give you up to 3 minutes to make your closing statement. And same thing as the beginning, you can just look right at that camera and begin whenever you like.
Okay. I just wish to thank all the constituents for supporting me in this last term, and I invite everyone to come out again on November 15th and make your voices heard and pick your candidates again for this next term. I just want to remind everyone that I bring care, compassion, and sincerity to my role, knowledge and experience, and strong drive and determination and passion for the success and prosperity of Valemount and its constituents. So I hope to see you, and please re-elect Sandy Salt for council.
Great, thank you very much, Sandy. Before we close, I'm just going to give a bit of more specific information on voting this time, so everyone has the information, and then we'll come and say goodbye in a second. So, as Sandy mentioned, voting day is Saturday, November the 15th. The location for the polling station is the Valemount Community Hall, 101 Gore Street, right next door to VCTV here. Voting times will be from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you're unable to make that, there is advance voting, and that's been scheduled for Wednesday, November the 5th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and that will be at the Village of Valemount Council Chambers. So again, Wednesday, November 5th for advance voting, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Council Chambers. And this time, for the first time, we've got something unique here in Valemount. We're going to be using electronic voting machines, and I know that that's caused a little bit of stress for some people who don't react well to change. But the election officers have passed some information along to me, and I wanted to pass that along to you as well to maybe alleviate some of those concerns and tell you what help's going to be available for you. So electronic voting machines are accurate, they're simple to use, can provide final election results within minutes after the close of voting. So that's very important, and will save a lot of time in terms of counting and recounting. To do your electronic voting, you'll go into the voting booth, as you always have done, and you make your choices, but they'll be giving you a special pen to make them with that the machine can recognize. Then you'll just follow the instructions on the ballot, as you always have. And once you're done your ballot, instead of taking it and folding it and putting it in the little cardboard box, you're going to take it and you're going to feed it directly into the electronic voting machine. And the machine is then going to tell you if your ballot's been accepted or not. If there's questions with the ballot, the machine will notify you and give you the option of submitting your ballot if it's been spoiled. Maybe you wanted to do that deliberately, that's your right. Or if you've undervoted, not voted for enough candidates, that's also your right. It'll give you the option of notifying you that that's the situation, and you can correct it if you want, or you can submit it that way. The only option the machine's not going to allow you to do, apparently, is to overvote, and that's to vote for more candidates than you're allowed to do. There will be someone there, a machine attendant will be at the polling station to help you if you have any problems, if you have any questions or concerns. They'll be there to help you, so they're not just going to throw you in there and let you sink or swim. Apparently it's far easier to use these machines than it is to use a bank ATM machine. So if you've used a bank ATM machine, apparently this will be a breeze for you. Also, the machine's going to be on display at the All Candidates Forum, which is going to be on October the 30th at the high school at 7 p.m. So we'll have people there that can show you how to use the machine, answer your questions, give you peace of mind for when you get into the booth. So moving into the 21st century with our new voting system. Well, Sandy, I thank you very much for being here. It's been great, and best of luck in your campaign.
Thank you.
And enjoy the last couple of weeks, if you can.
If I can. It's going to be a whirlwind, but
great.
yeah.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.